Okay, it's 10 o'clock, and right now I am in a online peer programming session just by myself, and hopefully somebody else would join me. Okay, and let's see. So I am live. It's being broadcast. And we're going to do, well, there's a few things I would like to learn how to do. For example, debugging your Ruby on Rails program. That debugging can be a bit hard, right? Because the code jumps around in the Rails frame. And I think there's some ideas that's being thrown out there. One is to use debugger or the Ruby bybug gem or something. And the other one, I think, is to use a log, a debug log, so you can log everything. I couldn't get either one to work. Well, I didn't get the log one to work because I didn't have the time to look into how to set it up and how to write the log. And I tried the debugger and it didn't work. It may be because the bybug gem works with a higher version of Ruby on Rails, and the TYPO homework is is a lower version. That could be a possibility. So the way I handle debug is just using the flash, because you can write something to the flash, and the flash will carry it to your next what is it called? The next hit on the URL. So I write something in this segment, right? Set the flash and it will go to the next one, but it will not go to the next. So I can see what's going on. So I put something out there. Okay. I guess maybe I'm not going to work on that. One thing I would like to work on is actually getting the tables, association tables, that part of the model to work. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen. This is my couple of times using Google G+. So should be a pro, right? And so they give me a few screens, the Google Hangout, the screen one, the Agile. Maybe I'll go to this Agile, okay? Agile website. Did it go? Did I say share? Okay, now it says share, so it's share. All right, so let's come over here. And maybe I would like to do this. Okay, so this is to see how the Ruby on Rails work with the model view, controller model. How does it work with multiple tables and table join, right? That's kind of the key thing about database, or how do you capture data reflecting the real world? Does anybody like me to say that? Because there are people strongly object to that statement. But I think if you don't reflect the real world, what you're gonna do? You're gonna do a imaginary world that doesn't mesh up with the real world, and then you'll be in constant bug fixing. Well, anyway, so let me. There's tons of things to learn, and especially, I think if you're at my age, that if you're at my age, you learned it, but you learned it at the moment. Can you remember it? That's the question. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I always have a curiosity of how this route thing works. So I'm going to do a rig routes, and I'm going to pipe that into rig routes. I'm going to pipe it to rig routes out.txt, okay? And I can look at all the routes, all the routes set up by this. Okay, rig route is taking a little bit longer because there's a lot to do. All right, so now, do you wish to keep the file? Nope. Okay, so I'm going to close that, and I will come to the TYPO and take a look of the routes out. Okay, so under admin, so the routes has a bunch of things. Does it has a slash? There's a slash setup, author file, admin, sidebar, text. There is nothing about login, right? How did it know where to go for the login screen? That's another something I don't know. Okay, so in the admin, under the content, under the content ID, and there is no admin merge. There is no admin merge. Didn't add it in, okay? Let's find this thing called merge. Nothing, okay? So the route has no merge, but it knows where to go because I tell it where to go, okay? So, all right, so that's concluded, okay? And okay, so now I have this notes to myself of how to do certain things. So I am writing this application that is keeping track of my library books. I created a category, and so I created a category, well, table. So I created the category table, and I did according to the textbook that you need to, okay, the section, this part, nope. And you need to do, in the controller, I have book controller, session controller. Okay, so I have not written any category controller in the book category. So that's probably why. So I'm going to, under controller, open up, create a new file. I'm going to call this categories controller. Okay. And I am also, but I don't know because it's the Rails console that's not working. So the Rails console doesn't deal with controllers. So book categories controller. Okay, created these files. Then I am just going to say they are all a subclass to the application controller. That is true. Okay. So I'm going to do a Control C here. Category controller. I'm going to say categories. The plural, isn't that causing them a lot of pain? Like if I have a table called fungus, do I have to do fungi? So it's categories controller. Okay. And I'll save that. And then book categories. Okay. Book categories controller. This convention over configuration. Why is that so, right? You said, don't ask why, just do it that way. But the drawback of doing this way is you constantly have to worry about if the plural form of this model, this class is done right. Okay, so I put in some skeleton thing for the controller, okay? And I did, the key thing is to the model, right? And I did it according to the textbook. So in book category, so in book, the book says it has many book categories. A book said I have many book categories. Okay. This is what drives me nuts. Okay, so I have category. And I have categories. So in the book, in the book categories, it says I'm belonging to a user. No, I'm belonging to a book, and I'm belonging to, so let's do this. I know that, okay, so here's a mismatch. Let's see. In the database here, the schema said, if I am a book categories, oh, I'm having user ID. And that's not right. Right? That's not right. Okay, so let's see. How did I get here? What I need to do? There's somewhere it says it references. So the migration script, the very last of the migration script says create, right? So I need to change here. What I need to do is to revert it back, okay? Not sure if that would fix that problem, but so let's do cd. No, I'm at the root. I am at the root. Workspace. Okay. And I'll go into this my library application. cd again to my library application. And hey Amy. Yeah. Do you want to have dim sum? No? I know. But when can I go have dim sum like in about 30 minutes? Go in, eat, and leave. Pretty fast. Okay, so I need to roll back my last change. So I'll go, what's my cheat sheet say about rollback? Because here somewhere I said how to do rollback. Okay, generate a book. How do I drop a table? Add a column. Remove. How do I drop a table? Right. Well, I just have to undo. db rollback to undo. So I'm going to do db rake db rollback. Okay. That's going to roll back the last table I created, which is that drop table book categories. Yes. Okay. So the table book categories is dropped. Now let me take a look. The book categories references books, references category. So it's reference category. Okay. The reference book and reference category. That's what it does. So I'm going to save it. Now I am going to do rake db migrate. Okay, that is going to create that table. All right, so it says create table, so it's migrated. Okay, so now if I look at the schema, and it's going to say, right, but the problem, I know the problem is not that. But let's first say, okay, so it says book categories has category ID and book ID. That's what it should be. Okay, so now let's come here to the model. So in the model, book said has many book categories. I don't know. Maybe it has many book category. Because, okay, let's say they're all plural, okay? So book categories. And then category will say I have many book category, and book category should say I belong to books, and I belongs to categories if everything is plural. So I belong to categories. Okay. let's see what it does. So I add in all those that I need. Okay, so I'm going to take this thing out. Better protected. Don't know what that does. I didn't like it anyway. So now I'm in Rails console. Okay. And inside Rails console, okay, Rails console, it's loading. Okay. So I can say how many books I currently have. Well, in the system. Okay, I have a few books in the system. And what category do I have? I have 2. All right. So I'm going to say my book number 8 is book.find by ID number 8. Okay. And number 8 is that cartoon book called Beach Planet. Let's pronounce it right. Okay, and then my category is this is a fiction and a cartoon. Okay, so let's first go by fiction. So the category find by ID 2. I know 2 is fiction. Okay, so now and this book category, the book category has to be a book category, a new book category, okay? And then I'm going to give it some comment. So book 8 underscore category is that comment text is equal to okay, say Beach Planet is a fiction. All right. Now, according to the textbook, I can just go book 8 dot book 8 dot what? Because it has many book categories. So book 8 dot book category, can do that, is this book, this variable, book 8 category. All right. Okay, it says it doesn't know this method. All right. How would it know what method? Let's see in this textbook. So the movie, you did a movie, and then you go movie.reviews. Is that all right? So then I should come here and say, okay, categories maybe. Okay, is equal to that. Nope, doesn't like it. And see what reason it is. The reason is no implicit conversion of that into ID. That is what I got last time. What it mean by. So I'm going to Google this error. All right. So let's come here. I'm sharing my screen. I think, let's see if I can get this problem correct. Okay. Well, no implicit conversion to to integer, let's say, okay, to integer. I'm going to do, this is a Rails question, okay. Well, yeah, you cannot convert from nil. That's right. I didn't assign a value because I thought I don't have to, right? That it would automatically do it. So let's say book 8 category, right? The category is null. Have a comment. Okay, book ID is null. Okay. Well, what if I just, let's see, what if I do your work for you, which I'll give it a category ID equal to 2, and right, it likes it, of course, and a category book ID equal to 8. All right, and of course I can do this. I can do this, of course. Yeah. What if I want to say book? What about my book 8? What about my book 8 dot book categories? Right. It says book categories, active record association, collection proxy is null. It has nothing. Sorry about my throat. Allergic. You'll be forever allergic. Book categories. And I'm going to give it this book 8 category. And no implicit conversion of book category into integer. What does it mean? I have no idea. Okay, I have no idea. So maybe we should just end here, and hopefully I get this problem correct. Okay.